Joe Seals here in the Right Side Broadcasting Network studios, coming to you live. We are looking live right now at the what is this? The Center for Mobility in just outside of Detroit, Michigan, in Ypsilanti, where President Trump will deliver remarks very shortly. We are going to have a huge day of coverage here at RSBN. We have coming up next in about 3 minutes, you can watch the State Department briefing live here on RSBN. You can also watch President Trump's address today at the Hermitage, the birthplace of Andrew Jackson, live on RSBN at, I believe, 6:15 Eastern Time. But even more, we are live in Nashville today, all day, with a full crew. We have our own Steve Lookner, Liz Willis, and Margaret Howell, along with Micah Messer, who is, they are all live there in Nashville. And we will be taking our rally feed live very shortly, so you don't want to miss that. We will be having wall-to-wall coverage from the rally in Nashville. We expect to take that feed live about 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Now, the rally is not set to begin until 7:30 Eastern Time, so we should have 4 hours of live coverage from RSBN in Nashville today. So you can check that feed out. It'll be on a separate feed from this. Just go to our YouTube channel and click on the RSBN Right Side Broadcasting YouTube channel and click on in the upcoming live events playlist. You'll see the President Trump rally in Nashville. And so we will be there interviewing people outside of the venue. And as they make their way inside, we will be offering coverage inside, interviewing supporters. If you happen to be at the rally in Nashville, please come by and say hello. We'd love to see you. We'd love to meet you and put you on air. So if you're there, come say hello to Right Side. Also, we have live on Monday of next week, President Trump will also have a rally in Louisville, Kentucky. And so we will be in Louisville next Monday as well. Same thing. If any of you can get out to that rally, make sure you come by and say hello to us. We'll be there with a full crew. Again, we are the only YouTube channel that aren't one of the big networks who actually show up to these rallies with our own cameras. So we are there in Nashville today. We already have a crystal clear HD feed. It'll be a little bit different than the last rally that you saw on Right Side, which was pretty embarrassing. We did not have internet. It was at an airport hangar, so we had to rely on a little device we have that sort of uses the cell towers, and there wasn't enough bandwidth. But today we have a crystal clear HD feed. In fact, I'm looking at it right now as I speak to you, and it looks very, very good. And so we look forward to bringing you a huge, huge day full of great coverage here on Right Side Broadcasting. So keep it right here, and as soon as President Trump makes his way out, we will go to that here in Michigan. You are looking live at the stage in Detroit, Michigan, where President Trump will speak in about 20 minutes or so, I think. We will also be having the State Department briefing, which should be streaming shortly on RSBN. We have that capability now of taking multiple streams live at one time. We have the State Department briefing, which many of you probably won't leave here to watch, and that's cool. You can always watch it later. We have an archive section on our YouTube channel of State Department briefings as well as White House briefings. Really no reason for you to ever leave this YouTube channel. We have everything you need right here. And you are looking live now at the podium where President Trump will speak. He also will be speaking today in Nashville, actually at two places. We have a crew live there. As I just said a few moments ago, Steve Lookner, Margaret Howell, our DC correspondent, and also Liz Willis are live in Nashville today. And we'll be taking our rally feed live about 3 o'clock Eastern time. And you'll be able to see 4 or 5 hours of coverage from Right Side Broadcasting in Nashville live. If you're there, come say hello. Find us. Blue polos with the Right Side logo. We are there roaming the venue. We'll be getting interviews and reactions from Trump supporters. When we go into the venue, we'll be broadcasting live inside. Come find us. If you are there, come by the press pen and you'll see us there. We will also be broadcasting right before President Trump's rally in Nashville. He will be visiting the birthplace of Andrew Jackson. I believe it's the birthplace. It may be the residence. I can't remember. I used to live in Nashville, so I should know this. But the Hermitage, he'll be speaking at 6:15 Eastern time, delivering remarks there at the Hermitage, and we will be bringing that to you live as well. So there should be, again, no reason for you to leave RSBN all day long because we have wall-to-wall coverage here. We appreciate your help because it costs us money to make trips like this across the country. We are live tonight, and we'll also be live in Louisville next Monday night for President Trump's rally there. And any rally that President Trump brings, we will be bringing to you live here. And we're also very honored that our rally feed will be simulcast live on President Trump's Facebook page. President Trump's team there, we've been working with them for a while, and they usually simulcast Right Side's feed of his rallies. And so we will be bringing that to you live on YouTube, and you can also watch it live on President Trump's Facebook page as well. So that is tonight. The rally is scheduled to begin at 6:30 Central, so 7:30 Eastern. But again, live coverage from Right Side here on our YouTube channel begins at about 3 o'clock Eastern time. To find these live events, the moderators can point you in the right direction, or you can just click on our name there under the video, Right Side Broadcasting Network, go to our YouTube page, and go and find the upcoming live events playlist where you will see all of these events that I'm talking about. So that being said, if you'd like to support Right Side, we could really use your help. Again, we've been going at this for about a year and a half now. Right Side just was born in a little bedroom studio in Pensacola, Florida, and we've now grown into a decent-sized media company. We're here in Auburn, Alabama. We employ about 10 people, I guess, full-time, including our hosts. And we really do rely on your donations to keep alive because we don't have any big donors. We're not funded by an outside group. So your donations built this office. Your donations have basically took us around the country during the campaign to cover President Trump's rallies, and we really do appreciate it. So you can donate two ways. Click on the $ under the chat screen on the right side of the page. That is the super chat. We really appreciate that. Or you can go to rsbn.tv/donate to donate through PayPal. Either one is so much appreciated. We can't thank you enough for all of your support. And hopefully very soon President Trump will be making his way up to the podium. And as soon as that takes place, we'll go live to that audio feed. As a reminder, we also have the State Department briefing coming up live at 2 o'clock Eastern time, which is already passed. So as soon as they start that, we will begin the rally feed there, or the feed there of that. So thanks for watching and tuning in. I'll be back throughout the day to continue updating you. You don't want to miss it. Big day of coverage, exciting day for us here at RSBN.
Discussed. I'd much rather have this conversation offline. But that said, I'm willing to answer your questions because I do it every day. I try to stand up here and answer your questions the best of my ability. No, I get that. But with respect to this decision, I wouldn't extrapolate that there's some intent to ostracize the media in this room.
Well,
And I can say going forward, sorry, let me finish. And I can say going forward that, and I've said this, that every effort will be made to accommodate a press contingent on board the plane. But in this specific trip, an instance, it was decided to make an outside the box, if I could put it that way, decision to bring somebody in who doesn't necessarily cover the State Department, a media outlet that isn't steeped in foreign policy.
I mean, is
to
this
give a
how
new, fresh
Secretary
perspective.
Tillerson wants to kind of debut his important diplomatic mission on a foreign policy crisis?
But-
And let me
Okay,
finish.
go ahead.
And issues such as what's going on with North Korea and China, he's setting the table for, the President Xi's visit next month
Right.
to the White House, and all of these kind of important diplomatic initiatives that he's going on. Yet you took the opportunity, as you said, to go out of the box and take a reporter from an outlet that is not at the briefing every day or ever, as far as I can tell, and does not know anything about these foreign policy issues. So, I mean, could you explain that a little bit more?
You are watching live coverage from RSBN. The State Department now holding a briefing. We are awaiting President Trump in Detroit, speaking now. Shortly, he will be, as soon as he makes his way to the podium, we will switch over to that feed. We have the State Department briefing now, and don't forget, we'll be going live after President Trump speaks in Michigan to the rally feed in Nashville. You don't want to miss it right here on RSBN. Stay here all day long.
Broadcasting live from Tokyo, where she was covering the Secretary's visit. I know that, as I said, there's at least 17 or possibly more U.S. media on the ground. They're all going to have access to the press avails. And
Equal access?
Yes,
Yeah, that's good.
please.
So just,
Yeah.
who made the decision to take a reporter and this particular reporter?
I don't know that I need to answer that
Well,
question.
you've used a passive construction 3 times.
Sure.
It was decided, it was decided, it was decided.
Well, often,
Was this the
so often-
secretary's decision?
No, often, Arshad. The secretary is obviously aware of the decision, but as you probably know, he doesn't necessarily make that level of decisions, frankly. But the reason I put it in the passive voice is simply to say that these are decisions that are made often by groups of people, and that goes into any kind of logistics planning for the secretary's trip.
So who made it? I mean, what is the problem with saying who, what is the group of people that made that decision?
It's the senior staff that come together when any trip is being planned and make those decisions at the 7th floor level.
Who is paying for the journalist's trip? Is the State Department picking up the tab?
No, I
Or-
believe the organization,
Okay.
the
Third,
media outlet is.
what benefit does the State Department believe it confers on the reporting of U.S. foreign policy to establish what has hitherto not been the practice, which is to say, to establish a pick and choose system whereby you select individual reporters or news organizations rather than going with what had previously been the practice, which is to include a wide array of news organizations and, at a minimum, a wire service reporter who would share the information with all the other regulars and whose news organizations have very wide dissemination of their reports. What is the advantage that this confers in the department, the secretary, or the group of people who made this decision
Sure.
view? What is the diplomatic or other advantage you get?
Answer that, and then I understand there's a lot of questions around this issue. I'll do my best to answer a couple more, and then I'd like to move on if that's possible. With respect to your question, what was the advantage, or what was the? I'm sorry, one more time. What was
What
the?
is the advantage to
Yeah.
this?
I
There's
think-
been a practice of having a wide group of
No, I
people, and
understand,
at a
yeah.
minimum of having a wire reporter
Or a newspaper.
or a newspaper, but
No, I
historically it's more often been wires, but yes, or a
No, no, no.
newspaper who
I-
share
I-
the
I
information with
freely
everybody,
understand-
and it goes out
I
everywhere.
acknowledge and
What's the
understand
advantage?
and appreciate
So what's
the
your,
concept
what's the
behind,
advantage here?
pool
What
reporting.
is your
Yeah.
advantage here? What is the benefit?
Again, I think, this is just an attempt to reach beyond the usual suspects, and I'm not trying to say that in a demeaning way at all, but it's just to
Suspect
say,
is not demeaning?
I'm using a term of art, a cultural term of art, or everyone knows what that means. What I'm saying is, this is a chance or an opportunity at the beginning of a new administration to look at outside the box, if I could say that, approaches to how we cover or how we handle coverage of the secretary. It isn't to say this is going to be the status quo or the new order going forward. This is just particular to this trip. I don't know at this point, but it's an effort, as I said, to reach beyond the normal procedures, and rightly, or that's exactly what you pointed out, Arshad. I just again want to stress the point that there's going to be broad access to the secretary on this trip, and we're doing best. We're doing our best to accommodate through our embassies in Beijing and Tokyo and Seoul to accommodate reporters, as we always do.
The last one for me.
Last
if I
one, and
may.
then
Last
Michelle,
one
and then
for me.
that's. I'm sorry. I
Last
want to
one
move
for
on
me.
to.
What is, I get you say that you are trying to think outside the box. What I don't get is what advantage it confers to the department to look outside the box in this way. What does it get you
New
to have a reporter
perspectives,
on there
new-
that is not filing to the rest of the press corps and that does not appear to have longstanding knowledge of these issues? What advantage is there?
New audiences,
Conservative
new
audiences?
perspectives.
This is a conservative outlet.
Again,
A friendly audience?
again, I'm not going to speak to, I mean, it's, I mean, look, we can dissect the cross-section of U.S. media, and we can spend the rest of the briefing doing that. This was a choice that was made to do something differently. That's been done for many, many years, as we all know. I can't say that it's going to be the policy going forward. I just can't speak to that. But at the same time that we're doing this, we're experimenting, if you will, taking it in a different direction. We're also meeting our obligations to provide access to reporters who want to cover the trip.
Did the department feel like, I mean, because something has been done for many, many years, there's obviously a reason that it evolved to be that. So this indicates that the department feels that there was something wrong with that setup, which got the message to
Not
the
at all.
broadest.
I don't think so. I think again, just because you try something new and different, it doesn't mean necessarily that you're saying what you've been doing is wrong. Look, we all know that there's a very time-honored system for how we cover Secretary of State trips. I understand that. All of you understand that in this room. This is a little bit different way of doing it. Again, I'm not saying this is going to be the norm going forward. We're also, at the same time we're doing this, allowing this, we're also providing support for. Can we move beyond this?
Hold on a second.
What's involved in this decision?
No.
Wait.
I just want
Barbara.
to ask a quick question about the Human Rights Council. So it's been reported that Secretary of State sent a letter to 9 nonprofit organizations saying that there needed to be reform or the U.S. might withdraw. And his words quoted in the article are, the Human Rights Council requires considerable reform in order for us to continue to participate. So what's the process here? Is there like a kind of probation period and then after which the U.S. might withdraw from the council? And I have a follow-up after that.
Sure. So I don't want to speak to the contents of what was a letter between Secretary Tillerson and these NGOs. But I think speaking to the broader question, a couple of points to make. One is that our commitment to human rights and fundamental freedoms is stronger than ever.
You are listening in live right now to the U.S. State Department briefing. We will go live to President Trump's speech in Detroit as soon as it gets underway. We're currently watching the State Department briefing. As a reminder, we're also live in Nashville today with a full crew. We'll be taking our rally feed live shortly. Within the next hour or so, you can find that stream live on our YouTube channel or our website, rsbn.tv. We'll be offering live coverage of all Trump's events today, so keep it right here all day long.
Achieve the Council's mission to protect and promote human rights. So I think this is an eye towards greater accountability and greater transparency with respect to human rights. I'm not predicting we're going to walk away from the Council. What I will say is that we're going to hold the Council and its members more accountable and urge greater accountability and transparency.
So what do you mean by future engagements? Future engagements will consider the council's
With the
actions,
Council.
is it? Yeah.
Working with the Council and the members of the Council.
So you might decide not to work with it, but not walk away? Like
Again, I don't want to predict that we're going to walk away from it. I think what we're, at this stage now, we want to try to urge greater accountability and greater transparency on the part of the Council.
Accountability and transparency. Is there a reason why we moved away from the subject that we were on so quickly? I mean, I wasn't even finished.
I feel like we've exhausted it, frankly.
Do others feel that way? I mean,
I mean, if Michelle has another
you
question, I think
very
she should be
abruptly
able to ask
moved
it.
away from the subject. There were a few more follow-up questions. I mean,
Go ahead.
if you don't mind.
Sure.
For the White House or whoever made this decision to choose an organization that is not part of the pool and is an obviously conservative website or whatever you want to call it, doesn't that narrow the message and not broaden it? And what message does this send to the American public and the rest of the world?
I think it sends a message that we're willing to look at new paradigms with our approach to the media. Again, while at the same time ensuring that traditional media has full access, and non-traditional media for that matter.
You were asked, is this person on the plane going to have more access or going to have some kind of additional opportunities? And your answer was you didn't know. And that's another question that I have. If you are the press spokesperson,
But no,
why
Michelle,
do you
Michelle,
not
but
know?
why should I mean, the fact of the matter is, I'm not managing this trip. I've been very clear about that in the sense of press access. There's somebody with the secretary who's dealing with that.
But you're the
So
press
with respect to, I
spokesperson,
understand
so
that.
shouldn't
I
you know
understand that.
who's going on a trip 2 hours before the plane takes off? And shouldn't you know what kind of access or not that person's going to have related to the
so
pool?
first of all, Michelle, I'm not necessarily going to lay out what access this individual might have or might not have. Frankly, that's between the State Department and this individual. Secondly, I wasn't in a position to confirm this individual's participation or involvement with the trip until shortly before the trip. And I think I spelled it out, or if I didn't, I apologize. But, I spelled it out as after the briefing ended yesterday, I tried to confirm that this individual was on board, but they were already wheels up. And frankly, they were in the air until almost midnight. So I didn't have comms with the plane, communications with the plane. Well, once we did, we confirmed, and I think we put out something this morning. I'd love to. I'd love to. I feel like, and guys, I'm not trying to move quickly away. I think I've answered now somewhere in the vicinity of 10 or 15 questions about this. Let me finish. But guys, we can talk about this offline. This is an exercise in discussing the issues and discussing policies. Respectfully, can't we move on?
These briefings are really few and far in between.
Transparency.
It is, and I've been transparent.
This is not
But
against.
do you really want to spend the next hour? Because I don't have all day to answer your questions about policy issues, and
Especially
yet,
when you only
I mean,
have
for
two
example,
briefings
do
a
we want
week,
to talk
please.
about the fact that it's the 60th anniversary of the conflict
Mark.
in Syria?
Yeah, please.
Do we want
Especially
to
when
answer
we
questions
have-
about
we
the
have
Middle
only
East?
two-
Yemen? I'd
two
love
weeks.
to answer questions
I'd love
about
to
Yemen.
go.
Go ahead, Saeed.
I was chatting for.
Yeah.
First of all, today marks the 6th anniversary of the beginning of the Syria war. Today, do you have any comment where you are with the Syria war? What is your involvement? What is the effort forward? What is going on?
Sure.
So-
As you note, 6 years ago this week, tens of thousands of Syrians did take to the streets to claim the right to express themselves freely, call for reforms, and demand justice. And as we all know, President Assad reacted to these peaceful protests with guns, with bullets, and with brutality. And I think it's important to note on this day and to recognize the sacrifice of the brave men and women from across Syria's diverse society who risked so much to build a better future for themselves and their children. We also remember the countless civilians, including many, many children, who have lost their lives from torture, from starvation, and from attacks by the regime and its backers. The United States does remain committed to finding a peaceful, diplomatic resolution to the Syrian conflict. All of us know how hard that is.
Again, we are listening live to the State Department briefing. President Trump will speak shortly in Detroit, or outside of Detroit, and we'll take you to that as soon as the stream begins. As soon as he comes to the podium, we will take you to that feed. We're also reminding you that we are live with a full crew today in Nashville for President Trump's rally, which will take place at 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern. But we will start our live coverage about 3.5 to 4 hours early. Today, you'll be able to see live interviews with supporters, live reactions from the people outside of the rally, and then we'll make our way inside the rally and get some more reactions and commentary. So we have a full day's worth of coverage, and also President Trump will be speaking today at the Hermitage in Nashville, Tennessee. Before the rally, we'll also cover that live here on RSBN. Don't miss it. The rally feed, to get that, click on our YouTube channel and go down to the upcoming live events playlist to get to the rally feed when we begin that, which we should, begin that in about an hour, less than an hour. And you'll be able to see all of that live. You won't miss anything right here today on RSBN, so stay tuned.
We want to obviously collect all the details and before we make an educated guess as to who is behind that. But we condemn any act of violence, any act of terrorism.
And
Please.
you still believe that Assad should not have a role to play in the future of Syria?
We still believe Assad.
The president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad.
How would we view him? We view him as a brutal.
no.
We view him as a brutal man who has led his country into this morass. That said, it's up for the Syrian people. That means opposition, moderate opposition, working with, obviously, some representation on the part of the regime to try to forge a political transition. We believe that will be a transition away from Assad, because we don't believe he can ever be an acceptable leader to all of the Syrian people.
On Astana
Michelle, let's
talks,
stay on Syria.
on Astana
Stay on
talks,
Syria, then I'll go to Iraq.
Russia has proposed yesterday a project to set up a constitutional commission to deal with drafting the constitution. How do you view this step, and does it contradict with the Geneva process?
You know, Michelle, I've seen that. I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to look at that very closely. I'm aware. I mean, obviously, drafting a new constitution was part of the overall process leading towards a political transition. So I'm not quite sure where this new proposal would fit into that process, as you say, or whether it's in accord with or in contradiction to the Geneva process. So let me look into that and get back to you.
And the U.S. ambassador in Kazakhstan has met with the Russian delegation there.
Yep.
Do you have any readout for this meeting?
I don't. He's
any
there.
coordination
Sure,
between
it's our
the two
ambassador to
countries?
Kazakhstan. He's there, obviously, in an observer role. I haven't gotten the readout of his participation yet. Iraq. Let's stay with Syria. Sure, Syria and then Syria. Please go ahead.
The Hill reported last week that Senator McCain is very concerned that the U.S. alignment with the YPG in Syria is going to lead to a, quote, train wreck because the U.S. fails to comprehend the extent of Turkish opposition to the YPG. What would be your response to Senator McCain's concerns?
We certainly respect Senator McCain's opinion. Obviously, he's a very experienced senator, and he has broad knowledge of global affairs, including Syria. I think we've been clear in acknowledging that it's a very complex battle space in northern Syria. We have chosen to work with the YPG as a part of the Syrian Democratic Forces, which include Syrian Kurds, Syrian Turks, Syrian Turkmen rather, and Syrian Arabs. So a diverse group of ethnicities in order to go after, destroy ISIS. So we're in common cause in going after ISIS, as is Turkey. Turkey also realizes the threat they face from ISIS. But we also recognize Turkey's concerns with respect to the YPG. And that's why we've set out very clear ground rules about the YPG's role. And we've conveyed that both to Turkey and both to the YPG forces who are fighting on the ground. And we would urge and continue to urge all parties operating in that space to work and maintain pressure on ISIS. That's the goal here. Everyone agrees in that group that ISIS needs to be destroyed and dismantled and can never again reestablish itself.
Thank you very much. It is truly great to be back here in Michigan. Right. And it's also wonderful to be here with the leaders, workers, engineers, and suppliers of Ford and Fiat Chrysler and General Motors and many others. We have so many leaders that we just met, all of the leaders of the major car companies and the automobile business. It's a great business. It's a wonderful business, but it's been pretty much hurt here, but it's not going to be hurt for long, that I can tell you. That I can tell you. I'm sure you've all heard the big news that we're going to work on the CAFE standards so you can make cars in America again. We're going to help the companies and they're going to help you. There is no more beautiful sight than an American-made car. No more beautiful sight. I love this state. I love the people of this state. And you did me a big favor because you gave me a victory, and that victory hasn't been won by a Republican in a long time. Long time. And you're going to be very happy, believe me. You're going to be very, very happy. During the campaign, I came to Michigan again and again, and I made this promise that I am going to fight for your jobs and fight very, very hard. I'm going to fight for Michigan workers. I'm going to fight to keep the automobile production in the United States of America, not outside, in the United States. And by the way, for those that have any doubts, many other industries too. That's okay, right? So we're here not simply to honor the past, but to devote ourselves to a new future of American automotive leadership. We want to be the car capital of the world again. We will be, and it won't be long, believe me. And by the way, we're going to have a very big announcement next week having to do with your industry. Very, very big, very important. Everybody say, what is it? Let's keep them guessing back there. You've heard me say the words, and I'll repeat them right now. Buy American and hire American. It's not just a motto, it's a pledge. It's a pledge to the working people of this country. The era of economic surrender for the United States is over. It's over. And you see what's already been happening. Plants are coming back. Other plants that were expected to be built in other countries are not being built. I just want to tell the leaders they made some very wise decisions. Very wise. Very wise. Some plants that were announced are not going to be built. They're smart. We're going to stand up to foreign cheating. We're going to crack down on currency manipulation. And yes, we're going to use the full economic powers of our country to protect our workers and to protect our jobs. Let me also say how important it is for me that we have every segment of this great American industry represented in our audience today. We have everybody. To succeed as a country, we have to work together. We have to fight side by side to protect our industry and to stop the jobs from leaving our country. It's not going to happen anymore, folks. We've gone through it for many, many years, decades. Not going to happen anymore. And if it is, there's consequences to pay for the companies that desert us and fire our employees. There are consequences. Already we're seeing jobs coming back. Since my election, Ford has announced 700 new jobs coming back to their plant in Flat Rock, Michigan. Fiat Chrysler has announced that they will create 2,000 new jobs in Michigan and Ohio. And just today, breaking news, General Motors announced that they're adding or keeping 900 jobs right here in Michigan, and that's going to be over the next 12 months. And that's just the beginning, folks. In fact, I told them that's peanuts. That's peanuts. We're going to have a lot more. They're going to be building new plants, expanding their plants. My administration will work tirelessly to eliminate the industry-killing regulations, to lower the job-crushing taxes, and to ensure a level playing field for all American companies and workers. Before NAFTA went into effect, by the way, NAFTA, a total disaster. There were 280,000 auto workers in Michigan. Today, that number is roughly 165,000. and would have been heading down big league if I didn't get elected. I will tell you that right now. That I can tell you. Plenty of things were stopped in their tracks. They were stopped in their tracks. A lot of bad things were going to happen. A lot of places were going to get built that are going to get built right now in other locations. The number of auto plants in the state has been cut by a third. Motor City once set the standard of living for the nation. Now it has suffered under the decades of failed economic decisions that have stripped our country of its jobs and of its wealth. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, another disaster, threatens states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and so many others, with the loss of countless more jobs. That is why I'm proud to say I followed through on my promise, and by the way, many other promises. You've seen what's happened. Many. And immediately withdrew the United States from the TPP. I kept my word. The assault on the American auto industry, believe me, is over. It's over. Not going to have it anymore. We're setting up a task force in every federal agency to identify and remove any regulation that
We just co-hosted like 4 or 5 30-minute segments. Just jumpstart that. Peace.
to the White House. Mary Barra's here. Mark Field's here. Sergio is here. And others. And none of them ever got to see the Oval Office before. Because nobody took them into the Oval Office, our presidents. They employ tens of thousands of people, but I brought them into the Oval Office because they're going to be expanding their companies. But they all told me the same thing. They explained that the previous administration promised you a so-called midterm review of the federal fuel efficiency standards. It was necessary because the standards were set far into the future, way, way into the future. If the standards threatened auto jobs, then common sense changes could have and should have been made. Just days before my inauguration, the previous administration cut short the promised midterm review in an 11th hour executive action. Today, I am announcing that we are going to cancel that executive action. We are going to restore the originally scheduled midterm review, and we are going to ensure that any regulations we have protect and defend your jobs, your factories. Importance to me. For decades, I've raised the alarm over unfair foreign trade practices that have robbed communities of their wealth and robbed our people of their ability to provide for their families. They've stolen our jobs, they've stolen our companies, and our politicians sat back and watched, hopeless. Not anymore. As a private citizen, I looked really with sadness as massive shipments of foreign cars have been dumped onto our shores while those same countries have shut their borders to our cars. We take them. Come on in, folks. Come on in. No tax. Don't worry about it. We make cars. They don't take us. Not anymore. Since NAFTA was approved, we've lost nearly 1/3 of our manufacturing jobs in the United States. Since China entered the World Trade Organization, we've lost 60,000 factories. Hard to believe. Our trade deficit last year reached nearly $800 billion. Who's making these deals? I can take anybody in the audience. You'll do better, believe me. These statistics really should have shaken up Washington to do action, but nothing happened. But something did happen. Happened on November 8th. Believe me, it happened. Happened for you. But the politicians made excuses. They've said these chronic trade deficits have helped us to win friends abroad. I don't want friends abroad if that's what it's going to take. We don't need friends abroad for that. Do you ever see that where they said, no, it's good for us because people like us abroad? They don't like us. They think we're stupid people. But no friendship is strengthened through economic abuse because we have been abused. And no country can long lead the free world if it does not protect its industries and care for its people and protect its borders. America will be respected again, and you as workers will be respected again. Believe me, you will be respected again. Soon, now. I think it's already happened. Our great presidents from Washington to Jefferson, to Jackson, to Lincoln, all understood that a great nation must protect its manufacturing, must protect itself from the outside. Today, I will be visiting the home of Andrew Jackson on the 250th anniversary of his birth. And they say my election was most similar to his. 1828. It's a long time ago. Usually they go back like to this one or that one, 12 years ago, 16. I mean, 1828, that's a long way. That's a long time ago. In supporting tariffs, Jackson said, I look at the tariff with an eye to the proper distribution of labor and to revenue, and with a view to discharge our national debt. We owe $20 trillion. $20 trillion with our policies. America cannot be a wealthy country if special interests game the system to profit from the exodus of our companies and from the exodus of our jobs. We must embrace a new economic model. Let's call it the American model. Under this system, we will reduce burdens on our companies and on our businesses. But in exchange, companies must hire and grow in America. They have to hire and grow in our country. That is how we will succeed and grow together. American workers and American industry side by side. Nobody can beat us, folks. Nobody can beat us. Because whether we are rich or poor, young or old, black or brown or white, we all bleed the same red blood of patriots. Great Americans of all backgrounds built the arsenal of democracy, including the legendary Rosie the Riveter, who worked here at Willow Run. You know that. 75 years ago, during the Second World War, thousands of American workers filled this very building to build the great new airport. I'm asking you to place your faith in the American worker and these great American companies. I'm also asking you to respect and place your faith in companies from foreign lands that come here to build their product. We love them too, right? We love them too. I'm asking all of the companies here today to join us in this new industrial revolution. Let us put American workers, American families, and American dreams first once again. May God bless the American worker. May God bless the Motor City. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Folks, we are going to wrap up the coverage of President Trump here in Michigan. We direct you over now, if you will, to our live stream of the rally from Nashville. We are about to go live. The moderators will point you to the right direction. You don't want to miss this. We're going to have full coverage all day long, live from outside the venue and inside the venue. Please share our streams, and we will see you soon.